T.O. Blaze.
Hey there, this is Tio bringing another Kerbal Space Program video, and in today's video I'm going to be taking you guys on an adventure to the Mohole. So for those that don't know, Moho is the planet closest to Kerbal. It's the Mercury analog, I suppose, in KSP. And on its northern pole there is a giant, almost 5 kilometer deep hole that you can go down and explore. So it was, I think supposedly it was originally a glitch caused by the surface mapping software or whatever in the game code, and they left it in the game. The KSP players learned to find it and affectionately named it the Mohole. So now the game recognizes it as its own biome, and you can go and collect science data there if you're on science mode or career mode, and you can go and explore it. So that's what I'm going to do. And to do that, as you can see, I've got an interesting little design here. I've got a small lander with the external command seat pointed down, and some radial attached engines, some little landing leg struts with some friction pads on the bottom, and a couple batteries and solar panels. So that little lander should get us pretty much all the way to the bottom of the hole. And my hope with the seat pointed down is I can actually detach from the command seat and actually fall the rest of the way down, probably another meter or so, touch the actual bottom, and then I should be close enough to the command seat where I can just get back in without issue, because I've gone to the bottom before, and it can be challenging. The geometry of the hole is strange, and the vehicles you take down there might not fit very well. So anyway, I've got my ascent stage now. So this is going to serve as a mothership, and there will be an upper stage and a lower stage. The upper stage is the ascent stage. Should get me back into orbit of Moho. And the lower stage is what's going to help me land with the rover and a small Moho lander attached to it. And the lower stage of this vehicle will stay parked on Moho forever, and then the upper stage will get us back up into orbit. So not much else to say. I'm not sending the return to Kerbin stage, I suppose you could call it. This is all in my sandbox mode. So the purpose of the video is just to show you guys how to get to the Mohole and explore it. It'd be pretty easy to either send a second vehicle for the return, or go up in orbit and assemble a second vehicle, or just put enough fuel in this return stage, I suppose, on the lander. Or you could do it in Apollo style and detach it before you land and rendezvous with it again in the orbit of Moho. Regardless, that's not what I'm doing in this video. I'm just sending something that can go to the Mohole and take a peek around. So that's it for the lander and the mothership. Now I'm going to go ahead and construct the transfer stage, because of how hard it is to reach Moho. I'm going with nuclear engines with lots and lots of delta V. Moho's got less gravity than Duna, but it doesn't have any atmosphere. So landing on the surface of Moho can be challenging, especially because of the amount of delta V it takes to get to Moho. It's close to Kerbal, and it's also inclined, something like 8 degrees or something. So getting to Moho takes a fair bit of delta V, and landing on Moho takes a fair bit of delta V. So all in all, it's a relatively challenging place to visit. So I'm going to kind of speed through the ascent stage. I've got lots of thrusts and a good bit of fuel feeding the core stage because of those 4 boosters. So I can ditch the 4 boosters now and still have fuel left in my core stage. Go ahead and also ditch the fairing so my solar panels will function. And didn't go for a very fancy looking build. Again, I don't even have a return vehicle on this. Sometimes I'll make the builds a little prettier, more interesting. You could add a mobile processing lab to this. You could add radiators. You don't actually need radiators, even though you're getting relatively close to Kerbal. I say Kerbal all the time, by the way, for those that don't know. That's the name of the sun, Kerbal, instead of Kerbin or Kerbal with an A. It's got an O in it, Kerbal. So anyway, I'm close to Kerbal and don't need any radiators. I'm curious if in KSP2 they'll add more functionality to radiators for places like this where it's going to be hotter. But so anyway, the vehicle's relatively simple. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my orbit, get a rendezvous with Moho. And I forget I forgot while I was recording this to put myself into a polar orbit. So thankfully I had enough fuel on this transfer stage. Once I got to Moho and circularized, I went ahead and put myself in a polar orbit. So the lander and the mothership also had plenty of fuel to go ahead and touch down. Oh, you saw I ditched the rover. And sometimes you can have trouble finding a place to park. So that's why I went with this design where the rover can actually take the little lander to its final destination. So I promise to keep the video clean. I'm not going to make any butthole jokes besides that one. And I'm going to go ahead and drive now to the rim of the Mohole. And Valentina is going to take the little lander down and explore. And unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention. I was going 20 meters per second, which isn't usually that high for a rover, but this one was a little squirrely. So I ended up tipping, broke the lander off, broke part of the lander. But the rover still functions, the lander still functions, and I don't have a quick save. So I just quick saved now, thankfully, because this descent took me 2 tries. The first try, I detached from the lander, which was the original intent of the mission. Again, Valentina is pointing down, so when she gets to the bottom of this thing, I should be able to detach, and she can kind of reach the very, very bottom of the hole. But she wasn't able to reattach, unfortunately. So first attempt ended with her not having enough EVA propellant to get back out. So this is my second attempt, and this time I just won't detach. I'll stay on the lander and get back out of the hole. So there you see, I'm just trying to keep my descent to 10 meters per second or less, and even that was too fast there. I just glanced the edge of the hole and lost the solar panel, which is not a big deal. And here in a second you'll see, look at that, that's the geometry you're dealing with. You're not, the hole gets obviously narrower and narrower as you go down. So you're on the North Pole, so camera settings can be funky if your camera is set to auto. And there you see a nice good shot of me, of Valentina leaving the Mohole. And I wasn't paying attention. I was just trying to go for a cinematic effect. Used way too much fuel getting out of there. So now she's going way too fast. And what goes up must come down. And she's going to be coming down way too fast. So even though she's got almost a full tank of EVA propellant, that's not going to be enough thrust to slow her descent. She's already, look how fast she's coming down. 112 meters per second and climbing. And that just not nearly enough thrust. So she's gonna smack into the surface here in a second. And again, this is not career mode, this is science mode. So this whole video and this whole mission was just for fun, just to show you guys what could be done. I mentioned in other videos my career mode's getting kind of clunky because of how many vehicles I have anyway. So that's it for the video. I'm going to go ahead and put this thing into orbit around Moho. Like I said, in theory, you could have another return vehicle or have more fuel on this if you wanted to. So that was my visit to the Mohole. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you are liking the videos. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button. And I hope to see you again real soon.